Hey guys, it's Seeking Jade here, and today I'm going to be doing a little review of my Bootleg Sailor Venus Figuarts figure. So without further ado, let's get this video on the way. So I have removed the plastic to remove some of the glare. I have to try and keep it at an angle so everything doesn't come falling out. So if you just bear with me one moment, I'll take it out and I'll show you a little closer. And as I talk about items falling out, some of it does. So here is Bootleg Sailor Venus out of the box. She does have the hair pieces that do twist and move, but the only thing is a little bit too much movement, and these do actually come out quite easily. Her fringe is actually her fringe, and her head is painted quite well. There is obviously a couple of chips on the fringe, so I do need to paint that up. Her bow is one solid colour and is glued on. Then you have the sort of collar that is printed. There is some overlap quite here, so it isn't very cohesive, but it is orange. You do have her little blue bow with the silver brooch. Her white torso. The torso does not move at all. I think if you actually wait, her torso does move a little bit. I wouldn't move it too much in case it breaks, because they are quite flimsy and quite floppy, the bootlegs. You can see as you can see, her hairpiece just came off. With the shoulder joint, it should actually be white, but with the bootlegs they just keep it nude and paint over. Then we have her arms. Her hand bit here, the hand joint should actually be white. Their hands and everything do come off quite easily. The paint is a little bit budget. You can see the mold marks, the paint where it is quite clumpy in some parts, so it hasn't been smoothed off, or they've not painted layers, they've just gone slop and there. Back to her torso, you can actually see here with the skirt, there is the sort of poof bit that they have over the waist is orange, and they've just painted it over a white colour, so it does stand out quite a bit that it is orange underneath it. Her bow is like a yellow moulded plastic which is glued on. She has her legs, which are all fine. You can see little holes or like splits in the joints where it isn't sort of cohesively put together. On the leg joints you can actually see they're slightly green, so they're going to need probably a little paint to sort of smooth out that, because they do have this like yellowy greeny tint to them instead of being quite nude. And obviously the feet, but that is odd because this is the only joints on her that have a green tint, so it could have been something that happened in the factory. It's a bootleg, there could have been a wrong colour mixed in with whatever plastic, and that has just discoloured what these joints would be. As you can, don't know if I can show you the back. Her skirt is in sort of two pieces, obviously, or in two pieces, but they are glued together, so the pieces do not move at all. And one thing with the bootlegs, they are very fragile and very frickety. Like, I was just trying to put her hair pieces in again after falling out, and her whole body just came away. Thankfully nothing is broken, it is just like a little peg that you put in, but a little too much of a touch, a little bit too much of a breeze of the wind, and they will just completely fall apart. That is the only thing with bootleg Figuarts. They are very cheap. Obviously they are cheap compared with the price, but they do fall apart very easily. They can much more prone to break than the normal ones. So here's her headpiece, as you can see, has the little plug pieces. Her fringe also has the little plug pieces so it can plug into her head so it can be all cohesive together. I will change and take off some of her faceplate so I can show you what it's like. So here is the sort of fringe and the glasses faceplate. As you can see, the paint on it is not the best. You can see where it's just been sort of sprayed yellow and then painted, that they've not completely gone to the edges. and the silver paint isn't 100% where it should be, so you can see red around the glasses, so that's going to need some touching up to improve that. Next up we have a hand that's holding the glasses. They have painted both sides of it. It's not the best. On the front right side you can see that there is actually white paint onto the glasses, so they've not exactly done a clean paint for that. We have little Artemis, who is, he feels kind of matted, especially his head, so it doesn't feel like they've used like a white plastic. It feels like they've painted one. It's like that texture of when you like paint plastic and it has that sort of rough but smooth feeling. He has got his little face moulded in. So try and get this to focus. And his face is actually printed quite well. It's where it should be. There is nothing out of place. So that's a win to have a small little Artemis figure and his face not to be looking like he is woken up from a nightmare. His face is literally where it should be. Everything does seem pretty perfect for a little figure. Always a win. Next up is all of the little face plates and the hands. Thankfully, paint-wise, the hands don't seem too bad. They do look quite flush. There is a couple of marks on them, which with a little painting can fix them up. The face paints, well, the face plates don't look too skew with, because I know sometimes, especially with printed on faces, they can look one eye higher than the other and look really odd, but thankfully they don't look too bad. So what I'll do is I will show a couple of them in her face so you can see what they look like. So here is one of the face plates. The only downside with the bootleg is that the face looks very greasy. It looks like she's been like sweating all day and it's just caked on her face. So here's one. Here is another one of her faces. Again, it does have that greasy sort of looking to the plastic. And another thing is that some of the eyes are just ever so slightly off. So one of them's a little bit far apart, one of them's a little high. So she does have a little bit of a skew with expression. But all in all, it is not that bad for a bootleg. And here is the stand, as you can see, where it has been printed on. It has smudged everywhere, so it's going to need a little bit of acetone to clean up. And one thing I have noticed with these stands, they are very, very brittle. I was trying to put one of the pieces in together for another one that I had, and where it was a bootleg, the plastic was so brittle, it just shattered in my hands, and it was like, well, I'm gonna have to buy another bootleg stand so that I can display one of these, because I can't display it because the stand's like plastic bars shattered in my hands. So that is one negative, that bootleg stands are useless. They will shatter under no pressure at all. So all in all, I'd say the bootleg Figuarts Sailor Moon figures aren't that bad. I mean, the paintwork is a bit of a budget. Like on her bodice, you can see these sort of splodges of paint that weren't smoothed out. The paintwork on some of the accessories does need removing and refixing, but I'd say for what, I paid £8? £8 is not bad for something that you can customise or fix up. I mean, it is a little fragile. I mean, you knock it and you might end up breaking it completely, but it's not too bad. And if you don't mind the risk of it breaking, or you like the fun of customising it, I would go, yeah, go ahead. But if you want something that you want is pristine and perfect, I would definitely recommend just paying the higher price point for the official one, which I think is between £30 and £60 roughly at the moment. So if you don't mind something not being pristine and perfect, then yeah, definitely go ahead and buy the bootlegs. But if you want a very pristine, perfect condition, something that's not going to break with the first blow of the wind, I would probably definitely recommend the official one. But that is up for you guys. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Toodle-doo!